It's Friday.
Yeah, we don't have any music because we're all screwed up today. Maybe there's something in the air.
Well, I think I've entered an alternate universe. Maybe that's what the problem is.
That's probably the problem. Yeah.
Yep. So I tired yesterday. I was like exhausted, and unfortunately, I set the time for our live this morning for PM, not AM.
Yeah.
Things happen. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And you're
So how are
at
you?
my place, and I'm at my cottage, and I'm at my house in the kitchen because I think everything went a little array today. So I got up normal, was going to go to my office studio, and found out that I had a car appointment. And so I'm at my kitchen table with my stuff, and I had to race down there. Luckily, it's very close, and then he drove me back.
Yeah, it's I have to say, like, it's very weird because typically what we end up seeing is you here,
right,
in front of this fireplace, and me at my house. So it's very odd to me to be. So it's interesting. So it's interesting to kind of not live somebody else's life, but be in their space when they're not here. Because typically you go visit somebody, you don't kind of go stay there without them there. And I remember when earlier this year, I was in quarantine, and I was at a friend's house, and I did my quarantine, my 14 days in her house. And again, same thing. It was like I was at her front door, and of course we're like from a far distance because I had traveled, and she's like waves to me from like the street, and I'm like, why am I going into your house when you're not here? And it's how I feel here. It's like, this is so weird to be here when you're not here.
I know, it's weird, but well, okay. That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
Exactly. So how is it being home? Is it good? We're good.
Well, it's interesting. This morning, what's interesting is as I said, I had to take my car in, right? And so I went down there, and I think sort of like for an instant, you feel like it's normal, right? Because I was in a rush. Mm-hmm. When you're in a rush, you kind of go back to your old life. Right. So I'm racing down there to get the car in because I have to be back here for 9, and run in, realize I'm looking at the guys behind the counter and realizing I don't have a mask on. So I'm rummaging through my bag, and I find a paper one because I wasn't prepared. And I'm like, great. I said, okay. They're like, no problem. It happens. And I'm like, okay, everything you have to do. I said, can somebody drive me home? Because they always drive me home. Because I don't have anyone else to drive me home. There's nobody else. Gord's in a wheelchair. No one here to drive me home. And they're like, it's COVID. We don't normally drive people home. Yes, I forgot.
Well, I think I think we've gotten to the point in this whole craziness that we've gotten so used to it that I think some of the things that we used to do like that, we've forgotten. Because I think in the beginning, everything was upside down. So we were questioning everything. How would I go home? How would I do this? How would I do that?
Yeah.
But we've gotten so used to it over the past 14, 15 months that you're right. We're starting to forget what's normal and what's not. Yeah. Like they're all just meshed together.
It's a new normal that's all over the place. I mean, I remember when we first started COVID, we were wearing gloves, right? Everyone was wearing their rubber gloves to do everything. Now nobody does that, obviously. But luckily, the owner was there, and I've known him for a long time. And he's like, no problem, Faye. He goes like, we've been open the entire time because they're considered a necessity. And he goes, we've had people in our waiting room, but we adhere to all the rules. We all wear our masks. So it's not an issue. I'm literally like 2 minutes down the street. It's not like a big drive or anything. But it was interesting because we had the conversation about how, so many people, his business was exactly the same. Nothing changed. Everyone still got their cars in, nothing changed. And so he's doing really well, but we were talking about how many businesses aren't and how many people had to change and close up their businesses because, in Canada, for example, in Ontario, in Canada, there is a rent subsidy for small businesses, and landlords the government will pay 75% of the rent. And so it's allowing a lot of businesses to survive, but some landlords won't do it. They won't.
Actually, I think a lot of landlords won't do it, because I know a lot of small businesses that are fighting with their landlords. Like, here's an opportunity for us both to win. Like, you get your money. We're happy to pay the other 25. We just want to, a little bit of a break. But I think the fact that the landlords have to apply has caused some administrative nightmares.
And I'm just like, I got to tell you, landlords are businesses too, and they have to pay their mortgage and everything. Agreed. But this is a win for everyone. And I have to say, just out there for you landlords that aren't doing it, shame on you. Like, shame on you for not supporting people that have invested their entire life savings into their businesses, and they are just trying to make it through the day, and you're too lazy to fill out the paperwork. Like, and then you just like would rather kick them out, right? Because they didn't pay their rent. They lose everything. So you don't have to spend, a couple hours filling out some paperwork, and not even a couple hours. I
don't understand, because I remember, like, people will fight over, like, commissions, like a certain percentage commissions, or an investor, like a certain, and it's like, same thing with the landlords. Like, you're going to take zero because you kick them out because they can't pay the rent. You get zero. So you're willing to take zero versus 75%, potentially 100, because most of the small businesses that I know said, like, we're willing to pay absolutely. I don't want to lose my space. I want the landlord, like, they're all trying to be very fair. Right. So I don't understand that. It's same thing with, like, super high rent.
Yeah.
It's like, so if you charge so much more, you get zero.
Yeah. And but then, the big boxes of the world don't have to worry. The big boxes can keep going. Walmart's still open, right? No problem, right? So, like, it's amazing that there's so much help for the big corporations, but for the little independent store owner that, as I said, business owner, that is his whole life. And I was there, it was, when I owned a bricks and mortar business, it was so hard in normal times to make it, to pay your bills. And you were constantly taking out of your own bank account if you had to, just to pay your employees. I know, like, we teach a lot of, you pay yourself first. That's not a reality in small businesses. You wish you could, but you can't. You have to pay the rent and your employees. So, so you have so much stress in regular times. The volume of stress these guys are under now is insane. And I get it. I understand it completely. And it's sad when that to walk away from, maybe you invested, $200,000, $500,000 in this business, right? Your whole life savings, you're probably your house is mortgaged, and you have to walk away from it because it's the easiest thing to do. That's sad.
That's hard.
So if you guys are listening to me, I wish we're not going to LinkedIn today. I wish we were, because there's probably a lot of landlords on it. But if you guys are listening to me and you're a landlord and you haven't done it, shame on you. Like, just, like, grow up and see how many people are struggling, and don't think you can, like, oh, it's a great opportunity to kick somebody out and get somebody new in, because I know a lot of people think that way. I just think I'm a big believer in karma. So one day, things, you're going to need help. And guess what? Nobody's going to be there for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's hard to watch. It's hard to have those conversations because there's literally nothing you can do. The small business owner feels very, just like their hands are tied as well. There's nothing they can do. And you're right. They, whatever amount of money they put in, sometimes it literally is their life savings, and they're taking money out of their own personal. They're not buying themselves anything because you're right. They have employees to pay, and it's shocking how much, rent and bills and utilities and all of that stuff is. So I have to say, in times like this, I'm extremely grateful for the fact that we have a digital business versus an in-person one or a bricks and mortar location. I know here in Ontario, we just got some news yesterday about the possibility of this whole, phased in reopening. And the first step is patios for restaurants, which was very exciting.
Yeah, 4 per table in June something. And then there's all those other phases that, eventually we might be able to see a little bit of normalcy by September.
Yeah, so I think we're starting to see some little glimmer of light at the end of this insanely long dark tunnel. So
Yeah.
I
Well,
was
I
very
think,
happy to hear that for restaurants, because I know a lot of restaurants have, if they didn't
yeah.
typically have a patio, they've put in a patio so that they can have in-person business.
Yeah. So good for, I think that's great news. Still a ways away,
Yeah.
not soon enough, but it's a start. And I think it's something to look forward to. When I went into the auto place, everybody there had a shot. So that means that, and they were younger. So it means that, people are getting it. You guys know, I got one, and you do feel a little different after you get it, because you feel like you can, talk to people, you can like interact a little, like it's an interesting thing. So I'm
Yeah,
not,
not quite
just
as.
so everyone gets it, because like there's a lot of, anti-vaxxers and vaxxers and everybody out there. I did not really want to get it. I'm not vaccine person. I never get the flu shots. I was uncomfortable with it, but I got to the point where I made my decision based on, I want to make sure I don't catch it to give it to my kids, and they're not able to get vaccinated yet. So my decision was not about me anymore. My decision was to keep my family safe. And so maybe, for some people, if they're on the fence, maybe that's the way that will, you can help me. I'm not saying to go get it. It's entirely up to you, your
Yep,
choice.
everybody's absolutely. But you're right.
Yep.
I mean, you have to make the decision that's right for you and your family and everybody that's around you. So,
So what's going on with you?
Well, we're getting our vaccines next week, so I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Have my appointment. I'm like raring to go.
Yeah, that's great.
But it's interesting how people are like, they're finding places now. I think like the fact that they're more readily available, more people are taking advantage, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So sure. I want to talk about color.
Oh.
I'm going to go completely the other side.
Well, we switched everything today.
You're talking about business. I'm talking about something fun. See, it's the cottage.
The cottage, right? Because you don't feel like you're in the real world anymore.
Exactly, because I've been up for a while. So, yesterday we were painting.
Yes.
Arms very tired today, but that's okay. Yeah. We were painting, and I think the thing that I started going through my brain, because it was interesting, because painting can be very therapeutic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? It's exactly, I'm painting baseboards, but as I'm this is my very philosophical moment, as I'm watching the paint go onto the baseboard, if the brush is, no, I can't do that. So not me, but I started thinking about color and what an absolute difference it makes in our lives. Because I feel sometimes when we talk about branding, we even talk about personal branding, business branding, we talk about color because it is an important aspect of your business. Absolutely. However, we go down the road of, if you're going to spend, 4 days picking out just the perfect shade of yellow, or just the perfect shade of green or red or orange or whatever that is, you're probably going to be the only one that's going to care that much.
Right.
It's your own thing. Agreed. However, when I watched, you look at a space, and this was our space yesterday, it was sort of white. Like if you hadn't put it next to white, you could kind of faux the fact that it was white.
It was like an ivory color, yeah.
Sure. So we started, and then we were like doing the backs of doors and stuff like that, which were kind of, again, a very dark ivory, like almost yellowy, beigey color. And it's literally like, honestly, I don't get to get poetic, but I mean, that first roll of that white onto it, it's just like the whole space opens up, your whole mood changes. I think that was the part that really, like, we got excited because it's such a fast transformation.
Yeah.
Like literally you put paint on a paintbrush and you watch that old go away and the new come on, like instantaneously.
Yeah.
And so I started again thinking about the fact that, branding is a lot about making you happy and bringing joy to your life. And if that color makes you happy, it can really make a difference. I know when a lot of people rebrand and they go with a different color, and it's amazing how, again, that whole transformation changes.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot about like your color, your personal brand color is red. My personal brand color is yellow. You know, our Mastermind City color is more on the gold side. So, you know, we talk a lot about color, even within our own business. You know,
Yeah.
am I going to, you know, am I going to put this graphic out, and how is it going to be branded? Is it going to be branded this? Is it going to be branded that? So color can make a big difference, and color can really make a statement too, because again, it's instant, which is great. So, you know, you walk into the room, and I have to say the white you picked out is fantastic. Like literally I was
My
like holding
favorite.
my camera up in the room, and it was probably about 6 o'clock last night. So the lighting wasn't fantastic outside. It was still light out, obviously, but it just, I don't know what it was. The light was just bouncing
Yeah.
off the walls. And I realized that if that color had been darker, like if you had picked a red, or if you had picked a green, or like a color to go on that wall, it just wouldn't have been the same. So again, when you're thinking about your business and your brand and stuff like that, color can make a huge impact.
Yeah. Well, I think so before I comment on that, because I know people are going to watch and go, which white is it? It's called Chantilly Lace by Benjamin Moore, because I was one of those people that said, say the goddamn name. So, and the reason, just so you understand color a bit, the reason it's like my go-to, I love that color, because it is a clean, pure white. So there's no undertones of coldness, of darks and grays, or of warm yellows. It's just a pure white. The catch with that is you either love pure whites or not. So I love pure whites because I like putting pops of color. Think of it as a gallery or a museum where you want the focus to be on the picture and not on the walls, right? And that's really why you pick it. So, but, you know, in saying that, in terms of brand and stuff, sometimes I will do a landing page, or somebody back in the day, don't do that anymore, don't call me, for people. And the first thing I would say is, because I would do a mock-up in any color, and the first thing I would say is, tell me what color you want it changed to, because that's my interpretation of what you're trying to say, and it might not be your interpretation. And you have to, like, there's something magical about when somebody does a landing page or a graphic. Spencer does all our graphics, and sometimes she'll do it, and we both just go, wow, like, because she nailed it. And if we did it, because she uses colors and that subtly and differently than we would, because we would be more like in your face trying to find, and she does it, in a different realm. If you're good at it, then you can see the difference. So if you go into it and say, wow, this is awesome, this feels like me, then you've nailed it. Right?
Exactly. Whether it's, your social media, your landing page, even, we even went down the road with colors in our community. So we started building these clubs, and it's like, okay, well, what color is going to be associated with this particular club, and what color is going to be associated with this particular course? We did it in GIA, right? Our Global Impact Accelerator. We went down the road of color. We said, here's our 6 pillars. Well, actually 8 if you include the pre and post. And each one has a very specific color associated with it. So every course, every download, everything that's associated with that particular module is all in that same colorway. So you know where you are, what you're doing, and they were specific. Yes. There was very good reasons why we chose the colors that we did. There's very good reasons why we chose the colors that we did in our club. There's very good reasons. I rebranded, I don't even know how many years ago now. I was a green, and then I moved to yellow. And I was fascinated by how many people were like, holy cow, like, now that's you. Like, they even felt it. They're like, this just makes more sense. I didn't understand. I didn't understand the green. Now I understand it, because you just seem like that yellow person. Red, you see red like that. Like, it wasn't even a debate when we went down the road. Like, you talked about maybe rebranding a little bit. Like, no, red's your color. Like, red's your thing. So it's so interesting.
And it's like one of those things, as I said, that like you can try, because like you see them, right? So you go on Instagram and you see all these like really great sets, right? That everyone's got all their pictures in a certain coloration, right? And they're very, and it's the right thing to do, let's say, but they're all muted or all this. And I tried for 30 seconds and I was like, that's not who I am. Like, I'm not going to spend my time muting all my colors and doing like one specific,
all the filters. Exactly.
Yeah, it's not who I am. So you have to, there's a thing you have to remember about your energy, and your energy comes through in what you do. And if it doesn't feel right, like I can't go and put on like a nude blush colored dress or something and feel like I look good, because I don't. I might look good. I don't know. I just don't feel good. And the feel good is way more important than if somebody says, oh, that looks great on you. If you don't feel like it, then don't. If somebody gives you a website or they give you a package for a different product you're doing and you don't like the color, then change it, because I guarantee you your energy towards that will change, and it won't be for the better. Right. So color is, for me, and I'm a big feng shui person, right? I teach it, I train it. I'm training it next month.
Oh, hey, you're training it next Friday, aren't you?
Next Friday. Yeah.
Not next Friday, the Friday after.
Yeah. So, so I'm a master feng shui practitioner, and
June 4th, everybody, June 4th.
So if you really want to understand how energy can affect you, that's really, it's a great course to come and join us, and it's live and interactive. So you don't have to worry about, sitting through a boring video. I'll just answer your questions. So, but here's the thing, as you said, when you painted, you were like felt differently. Well, again, painting, changing colors is the movement of energy, right? And so not only does the energy of the room change because you've changed the color, the energy that you've put in the room and you're getting out of it changes. So everything changes. Kind of like when you painted your office. I remember how happy you were. You were so happy when you painted your office, right? And you wanted to work in it, right? You wanted to work, like, because it's kind of like the same thing as cleaning your desk. It's the same thing. Like sometimes you just have to go, I can't work until I clean my desk, right? Because you can't even function. So color does that. It has the ability to completely change your energy. So if, I would say if you're watching right now, take a look at what you're wearing. How do you feel today? Like, do you feel drab? Do you feel good? Is it a color you normally wear? Look, Stacey and I we almost always are in black. Why? Because I love black, because it's an easy thing to put on for me. I don't think
I don't have all my clothes here, but sometimes, so it's interesting though, is that sometimes I'll put on something different and I'll be like, oh, you're wearing blue, which is, I don't have anything blue. Oh, you're wearing yellow, because I do have other, because obviously I love the color. So it's like always, I decided that I wanted to do this, but I put it on not for other people because it brings me joy.
Right. And that's what I do too. Like I never dress for other people. If you find something that you like, do it. If you're pink and you want your website pink and your webmaster is saying, no, pink's only for girls, tell them to get lost. It's your brand. Do what you want to do. Now, is there better choices than others? Of course there is. There's always better choices. It's about how the eye sees the website, how visible it is on a laptop, on a phone, whatever. There's always different choices.
Yes. Well, also with different shades of stuff, because I know when we were going through, we asked Spencer for her opinion, because obviously she's incredible. Just looking at color, and she can see like, is white going to look good on this particular color? So we kind of went to her and went, here are colors. Can you help us pick out the actual tones? Because you're right, there is a certain look that's better. Yeah.
And some people have that finite, like I don't have it when I'm looking at graphics. I have it on walls. I have it in paint colors. So, when we were looking, as I said, my color is Chantilly lace, and that's a Benjamin Moore color. Sherwin-Williams a little bit cheaper. So I was going to, that's right. So I was told, I was like, well, if you use the Sherwin-Williams color, you can save some money. And I don't like to color match, because I don't believe that they actually color match well, any companies. So painters, you can tell me I'm wrong, but I don't believe that you can actually color match properly. So the Sherwin-Williams, the closest one is called high reflective white. And if I put them together, I would say 99% of people would say, oh, they look the same. It was bothering me because I just couldn't get to it.
Yeah.
I kept looking at it going, there's
You
something
tried.
wrong.
You tried.
I absolutely tried, but there was something that was just not quite exactly what I wanted. If I painted the entire house in the Sherwin-Williams, nobody would have noticed the difference. Probably I would have been fine with it, but it would have always bothered me because there's something that I know that's missing. And so don't go on the easy route of saying, yeah, that's fine, to a designer who's planning out your brand. Like sometimes, you know, I remember I gave somebody their coloration because I did their website and they never saw themselves in that color. And I said, it doesn't matter. That's only what I see. Right. And they said, well, let's just go with you. And I was like, no, don't go with my own.
You need to love it. You know, you need to own it. You need to be proud. And I think that's, you know, I've kind of gone down the same thing. I've helped people build different landing pages and stuff in my past. And it's like, I want you to be proud. You know, back in the day, I don't even think we do business cards anymore, but you know, that was the same thing, right? I want you to be proud to give that out. I want to go, yeah, I love that blue, or I love that purple or pink or red or whatever the tone is. It's like, I love this, like, go to this page. Like, I love it. Like, you want to love the space you're in, whether it's a physical space or a digital space, you still need to love the space that you're in.
So I think a good way to wrap this up today is simply, you know, if you're watching and you've never really felt good about your branding and stuff, go back and take a look at it and say, with a critical eye, and say, why don't I like it? Is it the colors that are bothering me? And, you know, we go through different times in our lives where our color palettes and our choices change. So, you know, look at it honestly and say, if I just click a couple buttons, if that's what you do, or you have a webmaster, and change the color, would I like it better? And it's easy to do now. It's not like the old days. It's very, very simple to do. So I would encourage you to go ahead and say, what do I need to do to change the energy of my business and my brand?
All right. There's your weekend project.
All right, guys.
Have a good one.